Okay. So no more softballs. You ready? Okay, so we had several questions about your stance on Measure P, and I'm going to ask kind of a follow-up to that. And I'm just going to read it directly here because it's worded well. So, is permitting hydrologic fracturing, steam injection, and other high-intensity petroleum operations within city parks, retention basins, and open spaces an appropriate use for city-owned and private land in southern Santa Maria where homes were built over the top of existing oil fields? So I asked that one with it just because the Measure P is a county issue, and so your feelings on that, and then also about utilizing city areas for oil production of any kind. So I'll do a 2-minute one on this one since it's kind of a two-part deal. Right. So, Mr. Boysen, you are up again.
Well, thanks a lot.
I know.
First of all, I
gave you 10 whole seconds to think about it. So,
first of all, part of my closing remarks are that not everybody agrees with every decision, every platform that I take, and I'm certainly this is a hot topic. I am against Measure P. Measure P goes way too far. There have been very safe methods that have been developed over decades and decades that are possible within our community. I look at Measure P as being absolutely a job destroyer here in the North County of Santa Maria, here close to home. No, it just went too far. Fracturing, I understand, and I'm totally against any sort of fracturing, but I think the cyclic steam injection and some of the acidization procedures for cleaning wells have been proven to be safe and effective and not harmful to our water. Certainly, as far as drilling within our parks and open space and this sort of thing, I'm not sure where this question has come up. I know where the question came up because it was suggested in a couple of memos and letters and that sort of thing from staff. But we have nothing on the horizon in the county or in the city of Santa Maria.
Area 9, you do a plan.
We have nothing before. May I finish? Okay. We have nothing that has been presented to the city as an application for any of these.
Sorry, we can't.
I'm not going to get involved with an argument with the public in this.
No.
Okay. We have nothing before the city, and certainly I cannot imagine an application coming before the city that would pass the rigorous and strict restrictions that we would have, especially something that would be so close to commercial and residential development. But until we have something, a proposal that's brought forth, I just am not willing to take away some property rights that have existed for over 60 years without a fair hearing from both sides. So I realize this isn't the popular answer that everybody wants to hear, but it's the logical answer. And I, as a city councilman, do require hearing both sides before making a decision.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Coles.
Thank you. Well, Measure P has us torn, right? Our jobs and economy on one side, our environment and potentially our future on the other side. And I know we're not going to agree on everything. We just won't. But I know we can agree that historically, oil extraction and the oil industry has not been our environment's friend. But for me, the tipping point was when I found out that every so often, we lose several houses in Santa Maria to old oil sumps. More than that, since I was young, we've been talking about our dependence on oil, foreign or domestic, and that we needed to move away from that. Now it's our chance to say what our future looks like in Santa Barbara County, what our future looks like in this city, and that all money isn't good money. and that it's time for us to move away from fossil fuel. As far as drilling in the city, why do we need to wait for an application to say drilling in parks, permitting oil extraction within city limits is just not a good idea? I wouldn't, as a city councilman, I'd look to repeal or at least amend Area 9 specific plan so that oil extraction within the city limits and near people's homes is not just, well, we're waiting for an application to decide. We don't need to wait for an application to decide on public safety. And people living and playing near oil extraction insertions is not safe. Thank you.
Am I up next? Good. There are three processes that take place in this Project P thing. Fracking, that's dangerous to our health. They haven't figured out how to avoid that yet. Isodizing, same thing. And as well as steam injection. All this emission that's going to come forth from doing that has not been worked out. They don't know how they can avoid the chemical fallout, which is a very highly health problem. So I think this is on the burner, and it's going to be on the burner for a long time before it's in place in this area.
Okay, thank you.
Measure P. It is a very big controversial issue here, but like-minded with Mr. Boysen, it is a job killer. It really is. They talk about fracking in Santa Barbara County. There is no fracking in Santa Barbara County. And in regards to the cyclic steam injection, that is one of the safest ways to extract oils out of the ground. But one thing more importantly is that this industry has had layers and layers of regulations. It has had layers and layers of methods of how we do extract oil out of the ground. And to my knowledge, I believe that we have done a good job in doing that. Santa Maria is basically on an oil tank ground, and it has existed for many, many years. And I do not want to become dependent on foreign oil when we have safe methods of extracting oil from the county. As far as doing it in the city, I don't see any future applications of going in the parks, or I don't see any historical wells that have been in parks as well. And this is something that I'm sure that the City Council would absolutely agree on, that we would probably more than likely not allow any kind of extractions in our parks today, tomorrow, or down the road. So we've kept it at hand's length in regards to where we do the extracting. We've gone through all of the regulations and the methods and followed the directions, and those that have not followed them have been highly, highly fined. And so there is a method in place.
Thank you. Okay, so this is kind of a follow-up, and this is going to be a 1 minute a 1 minute answer. That's kind of why I separated it. There were 5 or 6 questions specifically regarding Area 9, and so for the sitting council members, the question was, what has been your position, your stance, etc. And for the members that are running, if you could speak to that issue as well. And I'd just like to remind our audience members that this is our format. We don't have comments or extra questions from the floor. Thank you. So, Mr. Coles, you are going first this time.
So we're talking about Area 9 and oil extraction in the city limits, and I think I was pretty clear in saying that that's not something I would support. But more importantly, I think this is a opportunity to talk about listening to the citizenship. You're not hearing with the citizenship, and we're talking about technicalities of I've got to hear the pros and cons and both sides of an issue. Our leadership needs to be sensitive to what our citizens are looking for and asking for. If no one has, and we don't foresee an application coming forward, why do we allow the ordinance to exist? If it's not going to be done, or you don't think it's going to be done, and no one's here to argue the other side of the of retapping wells that have been in existence for a while, why does it exist? We need to listen to what our citizens are saying and take action.
Mr. Green.
My comment would be the same as I made before. It's a danger to our health right now, the way it's configured and the way that they're doing it. And I feel that if there comes a time when that is taken care of, it'll be revisited and perhaps something different will come out of it. But right now, a lot of people are afraid of this.
Okay. Thank you.
Me.
Thank you.
Area 9 is a 900-acre industrial development that was planned with the City Council's approval. And I see a lot of uses out there for this acreage. And one of the uses that I would like to see in regards to Area 9 is make it more enhanced friendly with our ag. We have Winsett out there, and Winsett has done an excellent job in providing tax base for the city of Santa Maria. They sell to the entire world. What I talked to a wine farm owner is that he has to take his grapes up north to San Francisco to get that process. I would love to have a wine processing facility here in Santa Maria to where we take big trucks off the roads and we just move them out to Santa Maria and develop the wines that we have so many grapes to enhance that industry. So that is something that for Area 9 that I would be looking at for industrial and to provide that tax base and to provide the jobs for the city of Santa Maria.
Thank you. Mr. Boysen.
Thank you very much. Area 9 specific plan, along with the Santa Maria Airport Park Research Park, the proposed Santa Maria Airport Research Park, provides us with an opportunity to designate land that will be available for industrial and commercial purposes to expand our economy, expand our manufacturing base, and bring good living wage jobs into the Santa Maria Valley. That's what we need, are living wage jobs. We have all the minimum wage jobs that we need. We have all the farm jobs that we need. But what we need are those great manufacturing jobs that pay, most estimates say, more than double of what the average farm worker makes. And so that was the intent behind Area 9, and I foresee that to be the absolute future of Area 9. I think we're naive to think that if we absolutely take away somebody's property rights, that we are not going to get sued. Look at the county of Santa Barbara and all of the preparation that they're doing for the lawsuits that will hit if Measure P does pass.
Thank you. All right. So I have a couple here that are regarding the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility, and along the lines of that there were protests and different groups felt that their voice were not heard, etc. And so if I could get each of you to talk a little bit about your feelings on that vote, and if you're on the council, obviously your ideas pertaining to your vote, and if you are not, how you feel about it and what your decision might have been. And Mr. Green, you're up.
Well, this is a good one. I'm not so sure that this is ready to be put to bed yet and all that. I think there's some additional discussion that has to take place, and more people have to be involved in it. That's So,
Okay, thank you.
I believe we're speaking to the ICE facility that was
Proposed.
proposed. Okay. To understand the ICE facility, you had to understand its purpose in regards to why it was being built. The ICE facility was brought in for a specific purpose, to only hold 13 people and to process the people that had finished their duty in prisons. And that encompassed the state prison, the county prisons, and the federal prisons. And they were going to be processed for a few hours and go on down to L.A. to be sent back to their country of origin. My responsibility as a planning commissioner was to make sure that the property owner and the zoning and the permitting process was completely in place. We had to make that recommendation to our city council and send it on over to them for them to have the final vote in regards to what was going on.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, in actuality, the ICE vote was an item that went before was a planned development permit that went before the Santa Maria Planning Commission, was approved by the Planning Commission, and it was then appealed to the City Council. Our task was clearly stated. Did the Planning Commission err in their decision to approve it? And based on all of the evidence that was presented and all of the evidence that I gathered, I could not find fault with how the Planning Commission handled this item.
Thank you.
The ICE facility really, whether you could stop it from coming to Santa Maria or not is a different conversation. But what this question is about listening to your constituents, listening to the citizens. And the Planning Commission and the City Council absolutely have the authority, if it disrupts the community, to reject it. And they didn't. They didn't listen. It disrupted the community. We had the largest protests we've ever had in Santa Maria, and still it fell on deaf ears. And the Planning Commission, only one vote rejected it. On the City Council, it passed. Jack Boysen voted for it. And it really comes down to, we talk about technicalities and politics. Well, when you get them on a technicality, you still got them. And they got to go back and redo it. And that's the message we should have sent. That was the message our citizens tried to send. It wasn't heard, and we need to listen to what our citizens are asking us to do.
Oh, thank you very much.
May I have 1 minute?
You didn't use most of your minute, so.
Yeah. One of the things that were fearful in this whole process was that these people would be housed for a great deal of time. But they were told that this was a processing center. We bring them in there, and you can't go out and pick someone up unless you have an order signed by the what's that outfit? The big outfit. Homeland Security. They have to sign that form saying pick this person up, and then our fellas have to, our people have to go and do that. They're not going to be housed there over 8 to 10 hours per person. They're going to be processed and on their way to Southern California within that period of time.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So, let's see here. All right. Another issue that came up quite a few times are many people wanted to know how you specifically, so each of the candidates, would promote inclusion and diversity in its programming, city programming for the future of Santa Maria and involving a more diverse group of individuals in not only city planning, but getting people involved in community programs, et cetera, et cetera. And
I think it's me. Yes.
Sorry, by the time I get to the end, I can't.
So from that question, I think you're inferring that we're not including the whole community for programs. I don't quite understand.
I don't know if that was because there were 5 or 6 questions regarding this. Some may have had that sentiment, but I think it was asking either not only what you're doing, you might want to mention that, but also what are some things that are planned or in the works to include more people.
Okay. In regards to that question, I think that what we do in individual cases, and each one of us are involved in different nonprofits and different situations like that, but I believe everybody has an opportunity to get involved in different programs. I don't know if there's any one program that says you can't be involved, other than what Jack Boysen had alleviated in regards to Miss Avalos, in regards to the age group of what we do, for the kids in that organization. I know that as a 4-year member with the Salvation Army on the advisory board there, we do feed a lot of people, and we try to bring in more families to get them to be able to eat every day, and that in itself, and talking from experience from that part of it, it's a hard task to put the message out there to everybody. And so a lot of people, they're very proud people, and they don't want handouts. And I don't look at the Salvation Army as a handout, but a helping hand out to bring the people of the community together.
Thanks. Mr. Boysen.
Thank you very much. So let's cut to the chase. Santa Maria is 72% Hispanic. We have fought our demographics for way too long in this city, and we have to embrace our demographics. We have to build on who we are and what we are, and we have to. I look at communities like San Antonio, Texas, that a long time ago embraced the fact that they were a Hispanic community, and that they were proud of that. And I think that is one of the directions on the global basis, looking at it from a 30,000-foot level, that we need to take as decision makers in the city of Santa Maria.
Thank you.
The diversity is key to any community success, and we have a fractured community right now, and we need to bring it together. Let's start with acknowledging that we live in a diverse community. That's great. We can all acknowledge that. We all drive around and know that. But what we need to do is take action. Let's start by having our materials in Spanish and English. Let's start by when we notifying the public, we notify them in a language that they're going to understand and recognize and be able to respond to. I think that's important. But more important is that we need to increase our literacy rate, our English literacy rate, and the Central Coast Literacy Council has been getting a lot of good attention lately by doing that. And those programs translate into career opportunities and increased workforce competency. Those are programs that make sense, that allow people to take actions. And I would continue those.
Thank you. And Mr. Green.
Well, diversity. Is that what we're talking about? I haven't seen a city yet that didn't have some problems in that area. And I think both of our prior speakers here indicated that. It's something that you got to work on. Something, first of all, you got to admit you've got a problem in that area. I think the areas that are long-term based with this issue they refuse to admit that we have an ethnic kind of issue that needs to be solved. And I've seen, I've been here in Santa Maria a long time, and I've watched this change. It's growing. It's getting better and better each year that we live here. And I'll put money on the fact that we're going to be. We already the all-American city. It's the only one in Santa Barbara County, by the way. And I think if we follow that method, we're going to be something to reckon with. Yeah,
Okay.
people just come in here to live because it's so nice. The gang activity is not as high. As
All right, I got to cut you off there. We're right out of time. Okay, so we're scheduled to finish in about 18 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up and ask one or two more questions, and then we're going to give each of the candidates 2 minutes to wrap up with their ideas and get out there anything else that they would like to share. So one of my last two questions here has to do with mental health programs. So there are several county entities and that are working on how to improve programming for mental health needs within the community, and so one of the questions mentioned some of the CARES and ACT and substance abuse courts, things like that. So ideas for beyond incarceration or institutionalization, what types of ideas do you have for providing mental health programs or increasing services to those who need mental health services within our community?
How long do we have on this? 5 minutes?
Yes, that's
6?
long.
Yeah,
Let's go with 90 seconds since
90
it is
seconds.
pretty.
Of course, as I mentioned in my opening comments, for the last 6 years, I've been affiliated with Good Samaritan Shelter. And believe me, I am fully versed on the mental health issues within our community and drug and alcohol abuse and the terrible tragedy that this has had on our community. I think everyone in here has a family member or a close friend that has had either mental health issues or has had drug and alcohol abuse issues, and it's terrifying to see this happen to individuals. Certainly, we work very closely with the County of Santa Barbara to increase mental health dollars that come up to North County. I can't tell you how many tables I've been across with decision makers, both with the county and private foundations, and pound the table for increased funding to assist with these mental health and drug and alcohol abuse issues. Certainly, the Affordable Care Act, regardless of how you feel on it, has been a blessing for drug and alcohol counseling and abuse. It's provided everyone that qualifies can get treatment now, and we are seeing that effect. And we certainly need to continue on this. It's one of the issues that I am very, very passionate with, and certainly work together with law enforcement and the Sheriff's Department, this sort of thing, with reentry projects to keep people out of jail and get them into recovery. Thank you.
Mr. Coles.
Mental health is a serious issue, and I know we're struggling with it in North County. I'd like to see us create programs that allow the community, the county, and our local law enforcement to work together to identify those patients, help them with enrollment, whether it's enrollment into the Affordable Care Act or enrollment into the county program, and then use the county liaison and to help us track their progress. There are programs that we can model after to help increase our support of the mental health issue and those people. I think Mr. Boysen's work is awesome, and that you've got to acknowledge that those programs and that those community outreach programs can be successful, and we need to continue to identify those and support them with city support wherever it may be, whether it's dollars or volunteers.
Thank you.
The people that I've talked to are very cognizant of the fact that we have splinters of mental health and affordable care provisions. And I believe there are enough people that are concerned today about these issues that they're going to make a difference in the very near future. And the more people that we can talk to and get on board with this, maybe we need to stop sometimes and just have a conversation as to what do you feel about this? You think it's adequate? And let that be almost like a football team. We need to develop a team with this mental health thing. We really do, because there are a lot of folks that are younger and getting there. It's happening at a much younger age now than ever before. So what's the reason for that? We need to examine this whole process, and I think we've got some people that's amenable to this. And if you can help it, please do, because we're going to be looking at that. Definitely
more public awareness in regards to the mental health issue and the drug and alcohol issue. And I believe that each and every one of us do here support more funding and working with the county and with private dollars to help the mental ill community. We have them and we see them all around us, as in the homeless, and the homeless people are just amazing. They're confused, but they are precious people here, and they've got to have a place to go. Mr. Boysen has done an excellent job with the Good Samaritan, with the Salvation Army. We do a lot of feeding of the homeless as well, so we are making those concerted efforts to help these precious people. But a lot of it are diseases, and a lot of it is that we just have to come together as a community to see what we can do as a whole to help with this issue. The Affordable Care Act is a blessing in disguise for this particular group of people, and they're not one to be shunned, but they're one that we need to help them, and we do that with our hand held out to them and do what we can as far as the funding goes for their desired needs.
Thank you. All right, so one last question, and I think I'm going to also give about 90 seconds for this one because it's pretty specific. There were several that asked that each of you could specifically talk about something where you personally contributed to economic development or encouraging economic development, and or you may want to talk about your greatest contribution to the community. So there were several that were about what was your greatest contribution, but there were several that were specific to economic development. So if you would like to talk about something other than that, I'll allow that. Okay.
Anyone can start?
Mr. Coles is, I think, next up.
Oh, okay.
Well, in my experience, I've founded a company, and we started with two guys in an RV because we had no office space, and we kept working on our idea, and eventually we employed over 50 people. We generated over $4-6 million in revenue, and so my contribution to the economy back then and continues today is working with small businesses and developing those businesses, those ideas to employ people. And when you can help someone take an idea and transition that into action, transition that into business, whether they're employing 2 people today, as their business becomes sustainable, they are contributing long-term to the economy. And we're nurturing those entrepreneurs and small and family businesses, and we haven't given them a tax break to move here. We haven't given them any other consideration than getting out of their way and giving them the opportunity to grow their business, help them with ideas, concepts, and resources. And really, that's what it takes a lot of times, is giving them access to those resources, supporting them when they need that help.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Green.
Okay. You know, I am determined with all my strength to keep on this process of negotiating better conditions for our elderly. That means parks, certain spots within parks that are amenable to their chairs, their motorized chairs, et cetera, And I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, why don't we do this? Come up with one night, negotiate with the theater, one night a month that we have senior theater services free. I'm working on that, and I think those are the two things that I'm going to concentrate on for the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
And I hope it works.
Thank you.
I'll speak to two issues, the economic development and the contribution to the community, because in my past experience, that's what I have done for the City of Santa Maria. As my position with the Economic Development Association and the Economic Development Commission, it has been an honor to serve Santa Maria in that capacity of bringing the jobs to Santa Maria, whether it's retention or whether it's attracting the businesses. One episode, and I was talking briefly with Mr. Urbanski earlier, was where we collaborated with government from federal all the way down to city to establish a regional technology alliance at Vandenberg Air Force Base. That helped the entire city of Santa Maria, but that incentive that were brought in also helped the entire state of California through the launching of commercial space satellites from Vandenberg Air Force Base. So working with the community and providing jobs is one of the things that I have done for over a decade, and I continue to do it even though I'm not in that capacity anymore, but I can do it in a backwards position as in the Santa Maria Planning Commission and helping those entities, whether it's a mom and pop shop or whether it's a big company wanting to come in, is to help streamline the process for them. Because with these businesses, time is money, and we've got to get them up and going. And the only way Santa Maria is going to prosper is through a healthy economy. And a healthy economy will provide the safe families and communities for the city of Santa Maria.
Thanks. Mr. Boysen?
Thank you very much. Well, I think as Ms. Waterfield knows, there's not a week goes by that we don't get a call from somebody in the private sector that is having a problem with the issues or with the planning or permitting process at the city of Santa Maria. And I know that all of us work very, very hard at accommodating those individuals that have reasonable requests that can't get through our sometimes very onerous bureaucracy. And one of the things that I really want to make sure is that we work towards streamlining that over the future. I think, you know, my background, both on the County Planning Commission and my construction experience and my experience as in finance and accounting has given me the skills that I think we need to, and the knowledge that we need to, knowing how the city is funded and knowing how we can grow those revenues so that we can direct more revenues towards those, making this a greater place and making Santa Maria a greater community. Certainly, I lended my skills to Good Samaritan Sheltered, and I think I've helped to make that organization much more effective with the limited dollars that are available. Good Samaritan Shelter has an annual budget of about $4 million, and I like to say that we spend money compared to the government, it's like dog years. I'm sure the government would spend $30 million a year to have the same results that we do every year. And so those are the things I think that I bring to the table, both from the economic development side and what my contributions to the community are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to get ready to wrap up. So I think, Ms. Waterfield, since you were at the end of the line to start out with.
I was the caboose.
Yes, you were there holding us together. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you for our 2-minute closing.
Okay. Well, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us this opportunity to speak to the certain issues. The questions were tough, and you're a fabulous audience. But I got to tell you that my passion and my purpose in being involved with the City of Santa Maria has been job growth and job opportunity, along with public safety. My position as a executive director for the Santa Maria Police Council, we have provided funding. This is private funding that is over and above what the budget allows for our police officers, and we have given them equipment and training to keep this community safe, especially at a time when the city was in the downturns of revenues. This organization that is built on really great board members stepped up, and we earned private dollars to protect the city in regards to public safety. And I will continue on that method of public safety in our safe communities and job opportunities for our entire families, not just for one sector, but for our entire families. One of the jobs that I have, one of the companies that I helped bring to Santa Maria was Hardy Diagnostics, and they provide a whole variety of employment to the city of Santa Maria. And Hardy was just a tiny itty-bitty petri dish company that grew and grew and grew to a world-renowned company that sells across the world. So these are the types of companies that we want here in Santa Maria, so that you and your family can stay established, so you can have your children in this community and enjoy your grandkids in this community. And I will just continue to thrive and give you my best to make those opportunities happen for you. Thank you.
Mr. Green.
Whatever time that I have left, either on the council or as a person out in the city, I'll never stop trying to better folks. In other words, come up with situations that improve their livelihood, improve their educational level, improve their enthusiasm with respect to how valuable they are and the other people that are around them are. So my process in that regard is this: I'll never stop trying to make a better situation for our citizens. When I get the chance, I'll do it. Each and every time when I get the chance, I'll do it. And I just hope and pray that you guys will stand with me, pray for me, because I'm not going to give up.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this morning, but I'd like to go back to why me for City Council, why Coles, because I'm sure we don't agree on everything that was said today. But our city needs changes, and I know we can agree on that. And I know we're not going to agree on every single thing, but I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go along to get along. My experience has been as a business leader, knowing how to run organizations. That includes budgeting and finance. I have served on the board of the Central Coast Literacy Council to improve our community. And I founded a scholarship fund in the name of my father, the Coles Family Foundation. But our city needs change, and we need to focus on 5 things, in my opinion. And that is growth, our workforce development, creating safe communities, effective leadership, and a healthy Santa Maria. With leadership focused on these 5 things, the quality of life in Santa Maria, in my opinion, will dramatically change. It will become a city that we want it to be, a city that generations will be able to thrive and continue and sustain itself. So why Coles? It's not because you know me and I'm a nice guy or that I'm your neighbor. It's because we need change. It's because it's time for a new direction, because it's time for new leadership, and most importantly, it's time for new results. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boysen.
Thank you very much. And also I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and especially thank you all for giving up your Saturday morning and coming out to listen to the some of us up here today. I feel like my entire life experiences have prepared me to be your city councilman. And the beauty of this forum, I think, is that it is somewhat non-competitive. We have 2 vacancies. There's 5 people running for 2 vacancies. So if any of us are lucky enough to win, we know that we have to serve with one of these other folks up here. So we don't want to be too hard on each other. And I think that's a good way to have a forum. When I was elected in 2010, I promised to make every decision without regard to re-election. And I know that not everyone in here has agreed with every decision that I've made, but I promise you that I've made every decision with what I felt was in the best interest of the city of Santa Maria. So I guess this is where the rubber meets the road. My report card for the past 4 years will be your vote on November 4th. I would certainly ask for that, and I'll be the guy in the middle with the worst ballot placement, but remember the name Jack Boysen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Again, I do want to thank everybody who came out. I especially want to thank the Santa Maria Times for co-sponsoring with the League, and, of course, all of our board members and members that were here to help us get this done. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. I just show up. I put lipstick on this morning. That was my preparation. But I again want to encourage you, if there's some information in the back that you wanted about nonpartisan information about voting. Also, if you wanted to join the League, we like men and women. It's not just the League of Women Voters anymore. It's all voters. And I really especially want to thank you for coming out and giving us such thoughtful questions. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, but I tried to get to as many as possible. We had 50 or more questions, but that's the reason for some of the combinations that I tried to get in there and get as many of them answered as possible. So again, thank you to our candidates and to the Santa Maria Times and those of you who helped us with translation. I appreciate it very much. And hopefully we will see you on Wednesday night. Thank you. You got it. You can. No problem. You know what this is? Well,